So I had taken up a very, you can say, a very broad topic, but ultimately this FDP was planned from the perspective of business management. As somebody already had commented that a lot of legal aspect of IPR is covered in most of the workshops, seminars. Slowly and slowly things are catching up. But in this FDP, I try to focus it more from the academician's perspective. How academician, we as academician, you, my colleagues and myself, I have been working very hard in seminars in the last 2 years, but still it will go a long way. So I will be sharing all my experience so you all can also take it forward in your institutions, the way you want and the discipline in which you want. So regarding the topic that is intellectual property, how you can use it as innovative tools for business research. Now, when I say business research, remember business research now has the concept has changed, or it is changing. The paradigm is changing. Business profit motive is still there, but it is not the only motive. So lot of social impact, lot of social responsibility, lot of corporate social responsibility in the business sector is emerging up, and a need for the same is being emphasized by every policymaker, academicians. It has been realized globally, I can say. So what I have done is I have divided my presentation, or the flow of the presentation in my cases, a little bit introduction about the COVID era, IP in COVID era. I cannot do away without it because we are living in that era. And so this work I had done, say about 3 months back, 3 to 4 months back, when I was conducting another webinar. So to see what is the importance of what role IP is playing in COVID times, and specifically in the pharmaceutical sector, because that is the sector which is the most happening in COVID times. And I have my PhD in the pharmaceutical area only, pharmaceutical management, IP management in pharmaceutical sector. Second, I will tell you about the multidisciplinary nature of IP, which I'm sure you must have understood by now after so much of exposure to the expert speakers. But I will focus how it impacts economics, law, and management. Third, I'll tell you how IP balances technological innovation with social welfare. Now, all these are designed in a way so that you think about taking ideas from one domain to domain, connect and do the research or teaching. Then next, I'll move on to the IP in business and economic growth, then IP in higher education, and then last but not least, if you're interested in some question answer. Okay, so this is from the previous sessions which we had over the last 4 days. It's like connecting the dots. We started with Professor Krishnan's presentation on innovation. So at the end of this day, if I ask you, I'll not ask you the definition of innovation. So I'll make it a little interactive so that I know whether you have actually participated, so you are able to contribute or not. So if I ask you, is it IP in innovation or innovation in IP? So what is your take on this? I would like to hear from you. Anybody can answer. After attending all this session, what is your take? Is it the IP for innovation or innovation in IP? Yes, please.
I guess it should be IP for innovation.
Okay, that's your take. Can you elaborate on it?
Most of the kind of IP is claimed because to commercialize, and innovation is application of technology where people can use it in kind of a variety of ways. So I guess it is more in terms of IP in terms of innovation rather than innovation.
Okay, in other words, can I say you are trying to say that all the IP which we are creating value out of or capturing value out of is innovation? Is that so?
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay, most of the time you're right, because all inventions are not patented. We have to remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So and nobody has the other view.
Yeah, I can say both ways.
Very good. Who's this? Can you spell out your name?
This is Veer Pratap.
Okay, Veer Pratap.
Hello.
Excellent. Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, please elaborate.
Yeah, the one part is already being discussed, that is IP in innovation.
Excellent.
But whenever you come across any new branch or any new discipline, Innovation is a continuous process. Even though while filing IP rights or intellectual, across any segment, there there might be some confusion or there might be some clashes. So over a period of time, I think so that in IP also innovation has taken place. So how to file, how to prepare, or how to frame it, the code of conduct across uh, various areas. So I think it is both ways.
Okay, and who was the first speaker?
This is Vikash Kumar
Okay,
from Shivnagari
Vikas.
University.
Okay, V for Vikas, V for Veer Pratap. Both of you are correct, and thank you for participating. Excellent. It is both way. Either you protect innovation with IP, or when you have an IP, it impacts innovation, isn't it? So very right. So starting with sparking of this discussion, I say which of the IPs would you think are most relevant as tools of innovation in context to business? Now you know so many type of IPs. So which one are the two most important, two or three most important? Not all are so equally important in business. So let me see if you can filter it out.
Patent and trademarks.
Correct. Patents and trademark.
Trademarks.
But I will show you some more on the basis of my research which I have done. I'll show you there are potential in others also. It's only a matter of us closing our eyes and not tapping on uncharted areas. Okay, so with the adage that think about intellectual property before you do a business and marketing strategy tells you how important it is to have a pre perception about IP even before you embark into business. So when we talk of business, we cannot forget these people or these celebrities. I'm sure everybody knows every one of them. Who's first one? Who's first one? The image.
Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Facebook.
Yeah. Second.
Founder of
Elon
Facebook.
Musk.
Yeah, everybody knows Elon Musk. Everybody is so fond of. You talk about AI, you talk about donation of patents. Everybody thinks about Elon Musk. Third is Jack Ma. Everybody know because yeah. Fourth one is the big boss of Amazon. Yes, big boss of Amazon. And IBM, Google, and Apple. Why I have cited because when you talk about IP portfolio management in the domain of, you have already heard from the speakers earlier also. They are sort of benchmark for the patent or the IP portfolio management. So there are certain, you can say, things which you cannot skip when you do a discipline teaching or research. So they are the sort of benchmarks. Now coming to this slide, why I quoted this slide, just to show you how there is a shift in paradigm for company assets. When you talk about assets, there are tangible and intangible. So this is talking about, it is saying that more and more of the assets of Standard and Poor 500 companies, finance people would know better, but business people also know in general. These are the ratings based on certain parameters. So on the parameters of intangibles, Standard and Poor 500 companies, on the basis of patents and other tangibles, it's showing from the year 1997 to 2017, 20 years data. You see how book value per share in terms of intangibles is growing. This is just, we don't need to analyze it. I'm just trying to show you that when you go for research or when you teach, you need to fall back on certain data. So I just quoted it. Another one is, this one is a cross company comparison. That was in general over the years. Okay, now this is cross comparison of certain companies which are very active. Like for example, the companies mentioned here are IBM, ExxonMobil, Procter and Gamble, GE, and 3M. So the same have been tracked with regard to their tangible versus intangible over a period of 10 years. Now, when we say tangible and intangible assets, yesterday when Mr. Sandeep was trying to tell you about IP valuation, if I remember correctly, he told you it's quite difficult, but it's not impossible to do. So he mentioned the term intangible assets. Now, to know about intangible assets, we have to think about tangible assets and compare. So they are just the opposite. While tangible assets are easy to value, thick and efficient, very easily seen, insurable, it is just the opposite for intangible. It is difficult to value, it is thin and efficient secondary market, and difficult to insure because they are so ephemeral. Ephemeral means technology, especially when you're talking about patents, they're so ephemeral, they're so short-lived, they become so obsolete so easily that by the time you predict anything about it, it's gone. Think about the floppy and the disk. What happened? It has vanished in no time, ever since the flash drive took into shape. Okay, so these are some of the data on the base for the companies. Then what drives the market value of these Standard and Poor 500? So it says since 1975, the companies on the Standard and Poor 500 have increasingly derived more value from intangible assets, which are intellectual property, brand awareness, digital platform, and less value on traditional physical assets. Now, this is a book which I'm sharing you. It's a very recent book of the year 2017. Those who have interest, they can go through it. It says capitalism without capital. So when you're talking about capital, we are talking in the context of traditional capital. So now that capital has been replaced by the intangible assets. So it is saying capitalism, look at the catchy caption of the book, just to show you the growing importance and how they have captured the market, the intangibles. So now coming back to again the two important IP in the field of, in the area of business. This is all taken from the sessions: artificial management, analytics, innovation, intangible assets, technology management, and IP valuation. How you can incorporate whatever you have gained through these sessions, we'll see later on. But before I go on to those topics, I come back to Corona time, how business landscape has changed and what few things have happened specifically in context to the healthcare industry, because it's all healthcare industry in Corona time which has stolen the show. It has become the cynosure of everybody's eyes. Okay, so a very catchy caption starts: what happens when IP bumps up against coronavirus? Can anybody answer by looking at the picture? What happens when intellectual property bumps up against coronavirus? I've already given you the clue.
So more or less like it is synonymous with something like World War. So whenever a World War happens, all of a sudden, the level of innovation or the amount of innovation happening in the society increases, which is in terms reflected in IPRs also. So similarly, this unusual situation probably have affected almost all the area, not only pharma, but different areas of innovation, and obviously it will kind of have a positive impact on the IPR filed and IPR, kind of something like
very,
that.
very good. No, that's very good. I'm saying in context to the picture which I've shared. I just want one word. What happens when intellectual property bumps up against coronavirus? I just want to tap on your
like one drop affecting everything, a wave.
Yeah,
Like
so what is that? Ripple.
A ripple effect, yes.
Yes, a ripple effect. Everybody knows ripple effect. And you're very right. What you explained, that's a ripple effect. So in the center, you have the healthcare industry, and then you have the repercussions on the other areas. You're very right. Everything has been affected. So has been IP. It has affected as well as it is going to impact also. So this is a disruption. Normally the disruption so far we have read is disruptive technology, isn't it? We have been studying mostly about technologies like AI. It is being deemed as disruptive technology because it's going to disrupt with your normal course of life. So everybody is sort of alert and how to take care of it. So in this case, but the disruption is by the biological entity and the invisible enemy, which is called the corona. So there are just few facts which I think they're a very generic fact, so I need not explain. But the idea of this slide is to take this slide is to say there's a drastic change all over, and the question is how will this impact IP management? Because as IP professionals or IP experts or IP people, we are more interested in knowing how will this impact IP management. How should the companies manage their IP? Which IPs are going to take the center stage? Which IP are going to be relegated to the background? So many questions have opened up for ID. So I will focus, I told you, on the healthcare sector because that is a prime sector. We are looking for a cure. and what issues went ahead in the time from February to uh, May, June, mainly May, June. There was a total chaos regarding the access to technologies and medicine. So that period I'm going to discuss a little. So these are some of the initiatives. I don't know whether you have read about it or not. I was closely following it, and I think I should apprise you. The Costa Rican proposal was made to WHO, and then a group of non-NGOs, a group of volunteer companies, a group of advocacy group, they came together taking a pledge to make their intellectual property freely available of charge for use in ending the COVID-19 pandemic and minimizing the impact of the disease. Now, how many of you had honestly read about this COVID pledge and the Costa Rican proposal? See, we all are faculties, and as faculties, I think our main interest is our domain, no doubt. But then today's time is so difficult. You have to also have a tab of all the developments in other fields. So most of you are from finance. I saw some of you are from computer engineering, some are from economics. But then these are the general happenings. So everybody should be aware of it. So even if you have not read it, I told you the main intention of this Costa Rican proposal and the COVID pledge was to let IP free for common use, which is a actual paradox in real life. Am I right? Is it an actual paradox in the normal course of IP? Who will comment on this? Let's debate for 2 minutes. Letting IP free for public use, is it a normal course of action? Talking about patents in the pharmaceutical sector, is it a normal course?
It can never be, ma'am.
It can never be. Who's this?
Dr. Umar Raman.
Okay, it can never be. And this is what some of our previous speakers have already told us about it. Somebody was talking about Pfizer. I don't remember exactly that Pfizer. Okay, Sandeep, Mr. Sandeep was explaining yesterday about Pfizer that even though its patent expired, it was able to make a good deal out of it because of its strategy. So very true. In normal course, patent can never be given for free because that is a monopoly right, isn't it? The inventor enjoys the monopoly right, and that is one way in which it can recoup its investment because a huge amount is already spent on it. So it has to recoup. That is why patent is a most important tool in the business world to recoup the investment, specifically in computer area or in the pharmaceutical area. But in COVID time, the total table was turned. Why? Because there was no scope to go without collaboration. I can do it alone vanished. The theme that I can do it alone, it vanished. Now, what is another term for joining hands together and collaborating? You have heard of open innovation? How many of you have heard of open innovation? You have heard of innovation, right? But have you heard of open innovation? Hello?
No, madam.
Yes.
No, madam.
Okay. Innovation.
Yes, where people from different background, they can come and they can collaborate, and they can
Yes.
contribute also.
Exactly. So open source, that's what you're talking about. Open source. Open source is also kind of open innovation. Okay. So open innovation may, what happened? Firms join hands. You give me something, I'll give you something, in and out flow. So this is exactly what is happening in Corona times. So this pledge was made for that okay, the companies will open up their patent. Now you think when the companies are opening up their IP, it could be patent, it could be know-how also. Know-how, you understand, because vaccines and all, when they are made, they are protected under, initially they're protected as know-hows or trade secrets. Later on, when they come out as a product, then they can be protected as patents also. Their nature changes. So when they have worked so hard and they are protecting it, but they are now supposed to share it, give it out for free. You think they will readily agree for it? Will this come voluntarily? Yes or no? What do you
It
say?
depends. It depends.
It depends means I don't think any firm or any company will be so free. Everybody is not Elon Musk, or why he did, he only knows.
Yeah, it depends. Means
Even if I have to,
right now the situation what we are facing, the COVID pandemic. So maybe few of the companies they will willingly they will share. That is the reason why I said so. That it
Haha.
depends. But prior to that, I don't think so. Any company will come forward and they will share their, particularly pharmaceutical companies.
Okay, very right. So government has to intervene. Okay, they
there
might
may
not.
be some strategic decision which can be taken by companies. Say, for example, if a
Yeah.
particular company comes up with a drug and they want to kind of build a goodwill in the
Uh-huh.
minds of people, that also is some kind of, intangible assets which they have.
Very
So
true.
they may try to develop that. Elon Musk actually is also probably venturing, or that is the reason why he have kind of kept many of his patents available for masses.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. The intention matters. So that they are very uh, pick and choose cases. It will not be a general trend, because if you go by logic and so much of it has been invested in it, so why should firms give up their monopoly? So there was something there are some examples like Gilead. I'm sure you must have heard of Gilead, a firm in the US. It is the only firm in the world which makes a very notable drug, remdesivir, for HIV. So it was not ready to give out, and in between it was found that this drug has potential to cure corona to some extent, just as you must have heard about hydroxyquinone, one malaria drug that was also able to cure uh, partly this COVID-19 disease, right? So such type of firms who are enjoying the monopoly benefits and all, they will not readily agree. So what is the government? Where is the IP in here? So one IP called IP stage, compulsory licensing. Everybody has heard of compulsory licensing. We are all faculty, so if we are studying about or reading about IP, we know what is compulsory licensing. Now, compulsory licensing is a provision given in TRIPS. It says under certain conditions, you can force the inventor or the patentee to give his right to the public. So what are the conditions? 2, 3 conditions are there. If you're not working, you have a very good patent on some drug or some other technology, and you're sitting on it for years, 3 years. So they have given a deadline of 3 years. 3 years, like if you don't use it, I'm going to invoke it and let others manufacture or do some work on it. One. Second is when there is national emergency. So this is a national health emergency, COVID-19. So compulsory licensing is one option जिसके तहत गवर्नमेंट कह सकता है it can force those who are not voluntarily giving out their technologies or access to drugs. Okay, suppose devices are to be made, suppose ventilators are to be made. तो एक टेक्नोलॉजी से हो सकता है काम नहीं चलेगा, मे बी 2, 3 टेक्नोलॉजीज आर रिक्वायर्ड टू ब्रिंग अबाउट अ प्रोडक्ट. So lot of people have to come up with their technologies. They have to give up their rights. So government intervention came up, and what kind of IP step was taken? Compulsory licensing. So even before moving on to that, I just want to say that how this disruption led to the change in dynamics of IP and innovation. So patents initially, they are considered barriers to access of medicine. Everybody knows patented high blockbuster drugs are very, very expensive. They're not accessible to common people. So this is a general perception that patents are barriers and access to medicines. Now, intellectual property is not a problem, its management is a problem. The statement says that having intellectual property is no problem, but how you manage it, that you balance between your profit and the social welfare, that is the biggest problem. And the corporates are also, they also have to contribute towards now social welfare. So these are just Moderna. Somebody took the name of Moderna also yesterday. This is also a firm from the US. They are also into vaccines. Gilead I've already spoken. remdesivir, it's talking about the remdesivir. So when talking about the situation when the firms are not ready to give the or to make the firms ready to give their technology and to give their patents for public welfare. So the theme of discussion right now is IP and public interest. Balancing the act. How do you balance the act? In this context, I discuss a paper or an argument or a suggestion by a Nobel laureate who in the year 2018 came up with a very good proposition called patent buyouts. This is a proposition from, he's an economist. So he gave this proposition from the perspective of economists, and he tried to control he actually suggested ideas of price control at one point of time, and at the same time giving incentives to the people, to the firms who are letting out their patent for public good. So let's see what he says. So now why I'm discussing this paper, because I told you I will be telling you, I'll be opening up your faculties for research and teaching. So this could be also taken up as a perspective of the economics of IP. May you can take this topic as a research. So patent buyout and price control, he suggested to do an auction. Government buys the patent, put it up in auction, and auction में जो highest bidding है, give the price to the patentee. So this patent buyout concept has a history. It is based on a case called daguerreotype patents. Now daguerreotype patents were patents which were actually for some other kind of technology used in photography, and in that time its interest was not pandemic like situation. They were not finding the right people to sell their photography. So they actually started this process called patent buyout. So that situation, this Nobel laureate is trying to put it in Corona times. So there is a counter view. They started saying this is a very emergency situation. So prices might not come as required to the patentees. So in that situation, how should we decide the price of the patent? So the proposal he gives is, he says, you first find out the pre-pandemic price and then give them the markup and the highest bid to the patentee. So patent buyouts, further he suggests that it can act as shelter for manufacturers. Okay, because if the government has bought the patents from the patentee and gives it out to the manufacturer, the small generic manufacturer, the generic manufacturer is safe from no infringement issue, isn't it? He will say, मुझे तो government ने दिया है, and government ने तो properly buy किया है, so there's no case of stealing or infringement. So it is a shelter for this. It's actually a theory, patent buyout theory. So it's a shelter for the manufacturers and one way of finding solution to get people collaborate with an IP environment and bring about a public welfare, work the IP in the interest of the public. Okay, so this patent buyout theory, it reduces to a great extent the dichotomy between IPR and social welfare. So before I proceed, I'll just take your views on, do you agree there's a dichotomy between IPR and social welfare? Apart from what I have discussed, do you have anything else to say to this, add to it? Not from what I have discussed. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
ma'am. Yeah, I want to say that as per this theory, patent buyout, price control through auction. For example, all the pharmaceutical companies, those who are bidding for a particular patent, if they will bid a very higher price, extensively higher price, ultimately it is going to be paid to the ultimately it is going to be bear by the consumer only. So don't you think that here the government should intervene and fix a cap size or something like that?
No, I think you missed my point. You missed my point. I'm saying government नहीं तो खरीद कर bidding करवाई है. ये खुद नहीं करते हैं. Government first buys it and then puts up for bidding. Okay, that's why I have been
in between. I think there is a problem in the connection, so I might have missed the point.
No problem. So that's why I told you, the government intervention 2-3 times I had mentioned. So I just want your view. Is there a dichotomy between IPR and social welfare? Specifically in case of patent, it is very, very, you can, it says not touching your raw strings. Very sensitive thing. Do you agree to it? Others?
Yeah, definitely it is a very sensitive issue, you know, kind of.
Can you cite some example apart from what I have given? Where else?
Okay. Actually, I'm from not from a management background, and
doesn't matter. आजकल management discipline does not matter.
so
आजकल सबको सब कुछ पता होता है.
normally, you know, what I've seen, say for example, if I hold a particular critical patent or anything like that, you know, any IPR for that matter, and I'm exploiting it rather than, you know, kind of economic benefit, yeah, to a certain percentage, yeah, definitely that is agreeable. But what if I'm trying to exploit it? Probably that may be ethically, morally also, you know, wrong. So in that case, yes, the government can intervene, and whatever you
Okay.
proposed may go through.
From the innovation point of view, ma'am, I think government
Even
may not.
one can apply valuation, different valuation technique, and based on that, you know, when you auction, yeah, definitely there can be a base, you know, kind of price. Plus, there can also be a maximum valuation sort of. So that way, the company also will benefit at the same time. Public in general, I don't know how they're doing it in China. I'm just curious.
Okay, so Vikas, what is your discipline?
I'm from design, a department of design here at SNU only.
Okay, acha. Yeah. I think I know. I know your name. Maybe by face I was not able to recognize. But fair enough. You have given your logic. Yes, somebody else was trying to pitch in. Guest. Somebody by guest name.
Yeah, ma'am. I'm Naveen, ma'am. I think from innovator point of view, government may not fix the proper price. Maybe innovator has spent more during innovation, and then government is fixing at a lower price. So that may be a problem. And once the patent came out in public, for future anybody can.
No. I'm not talking about. I just know what I told you. कि मैं जो discuss कर रही हूँ, Corona times is a very specific situation, right?
That is
It's
fine,
a temporary situation. मैं उसके बारे में नहीं बोल रही हूँ. In general, मुझे बताओ आप लोग कि is there a dichotomy between IPR and public health? आपका क्या take है? Social welfare, sorry. IPR and social welfare. Because see, whenever we talk about IP, the moment we talk about IP, उससे लगता है कुछ profit, business, isn't it? Very rarely आपको लगेगा कि वो social welfare पे जा रहा है. आप simple से example ले लो ना, कोई और case में ले लो. Not only in the case of patents. Take in some other IP. Let's say trademarks. Trademarks के case में how it is impacting social welfare? Any idea? Others? I think they're studying from exam. Anyway, chalo, we'll move on. I cannot pressurize you too much because maybe everybody is not in that mood. Although I had some very interesting topic, so you can go through it later on also. Okay. So carrying forward the IP and public interest, how do you balance it? Because IP is mostly for corporate interest. It's not in the public interest. Now, if you think about public interest, humanities people will understand it better. I think we don't have many humanities in here, not even one, probably. One or two we might have. So public interest जहाँ बोलते हैं social development की बात कहते हैं, development sector. Okay, NGOs के intervention जहाँ आते हैं. हाँ, GM crop की मैं बात कर रही थी. अगर ये जो genetically modified crop है, उसका social welfare से क्या connection है? Because people are afraid of taking GM food in India. Genetically modified crop, they're afraid of taking it. Why? Because it is believed that these genetically modified crops are not environmental friendly. The type of fertilizers they use or the way they are grown up. So, ek tarah se, they are not towards social welfare. So this genetically modified crop kya hai? The moment it is genetically modified, you'll have a patent on it. So that's also another dichotomy, example of dichotomy of IPR and social welfare. So continuing with the discussion of IP and public interest in the pharmaceutical sector, there are some articles, TRIPS articles 7 and 8. TRIPS, now everybody understands TRIPS, trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. I mean, you cannot get a certificate without knowing the full form of TRIPS. Remember, okay. So in TRIPS article 7, it says कि the scope of public welfare जो है, वही clearly defined नहीं है. That's not clearly defined. There's a lot of ambiguity. Then Article 8 says what measures to adopt to work IP in the interest of public. Even that is not very clear. So there's some ambiguity in TRIPS which creates the problem so that this is not balanced, IP and public interest. So during Corona times, what other countries have done, they have tweaked their IP laws. Tweaking means liberal कर दिया, relax कर दिया. गवर्नमेंट ने बोला जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल क्राउन यूज प्रोविजन ऑफ यूके पेटेंट एक्ट. यूके में हो गया कि ठीक है, on the provision, it's a technical term, crown use provision. आप पेटेंट हो, you are the monopolist owner of your technology or invention, but in this time I have full right, the government says I have the वहाँ का तो kingdom है ना, तो they say कि we have the full right to take your rights and throw it out to the public for social interest. Then emergency tweaking of IP laws में what they are doing is, IP laws में tweak करने का मतलब ये हुआ कि आपकी जो authority थी हम forcefully अब ले रहे हैं. I'm waiving it off in the interest of public, and you cannot sue the manufacturer because it is going through the government. Compulsory licensing I have already discussed. Gilead के केस में, रोज के केस में भी इन्वोक किया गया compulsory licensing because वो certain testing kit को वो it was not giving it was for free. So compulsory licensing was invoked, and there's another farm app by Caletra is another medicine for HIV. Another thing is patent pools. Now you can also work or make your students work on patent pools. Patent pools क्या है? 8 to 10 people coming together under one umbrella and doing cross licensing of their technology or invention. Licensing, now you know, cross क्या हुआ, मैंने आपको दिया, आपने मेरे को दिया, that is cross licensing. Or one person requiring 3 technology will have to run to ABC. But if all those people are under the patent pool umbrella, person D will have to go to just one place. Okay, so these are the possibilities, these are the points which were debated all around the world. ये हो सकता है, ये हो सकता है, ये हो सकता है IP के केस में, so as to bring about the cure of coronavirus. These are just suggestions. All are not followed. These are just suggestions. So there were pros also, there were cons also. Both type of views were there. And the third one is Article 31 of TRIPS, loosening of the shackles of IP monopoly. But means in emergency, you have to give up your IP policy. So this was about the collaborative model. Patent pool is the collaborative model for corona cure. Then infringement and litigation is one area. A lot of litigation and infringement data is available with certain websites. So with that data, you can actually find out the duration, kitne din tak ye litigation chala, who are the protagonists, what issue was at stake. This is also a good area of research. So I'm sure everybody knows about CAV, the connected autonomous vehicles, which are using sensors and artificial intelligence while they are driverless car. A lot of you must have read. You must have read about the Waymo case. It's a spin-off of Alphabet Incorporation, which took up Google, and it charged a case against Uber for stealing the trade secrets of its Nadar technology. Okay, so the case is still not clear. Just wanted to show you there are some of the infringement and litigation cases. And it is interdisciplinary. IPR is interdisciplinary. We'll come to that later on, but first a little bit. I think this was whatever was skipped. I'm trying to fill in the gap. Now, I think this was not discussed, so I will discuss very quickly. Venice was the cradle of IP system, and from 14th century to TRIPS in 1995. So the first 2 statutes, they originated in Britain, the Statute of Monopolies and the British Statute of Anne. So the Statute of Monopolies transformed to patents of recent times, and the British Statute of Anne transformed to copyrights of recent time. So if you look 12 to 14 के समय में there was some concept of invention, incentivizing, silk weaving के लिए they used to give some incentive. Then 16th century में they started paying for people who used to bring innovations from outside or from outside to Europe, because it was a place, Europe was a place of Renaissance, Industrial Revolution. You could see a lot of technological happening, hotbed of technological happening. So Industrial Revolution के समय में actually intellectual property cropped up as a very important property. पहले सोचते थे कि अरे चलो it's just an incentive to invent as per economics view. But Industrial Revolution में people became aware of IP as a property, that it should be protected as right. So this is a very, you can say, a watershed in the history of IP. Then beyond Industrial Revolution, we come to GATT, all that Second World War's last phase of development. And you remember Professor Sudhir Kijan has detailed about GATT, TRIPS and all. So I'm not going to discuss, I'm just trying to connect the threads. So this is after GATT, change from formal to informal treatment of IP, recognition through international conventions, GATT, Isara sir ne discuss kiya hai, WIPO, Paris Convention. Then all the member countries started making their national laws as per TRIPS provision. TRIPS ने एक minimum standard set कर दिया and then बोला आप अपने nation के हिसाब से you now start making your own laws as per the needs of your country people. And after 1995, those laws have undergone a number of changes. Do you know China has changed in law more than 10-15 times, patent laws. We have done it 5 or 6 times. So why China does it so, adapts it so fast? Because it wants to remain ahead in the race. We are a little stringent. We do as per the requirement, but not, because if you look, if you just know, इतना तो सभी लोग न्यूज़पेपर में पढ़ते ही होंगे, America keeps on forcing us कि India's IP laws are not friendly to the MNCs, it is not a good place to do business. America हमेशा ही हमारे पीछे पड़ा रहता था, but the government used to say no, we are not going to tweak according to your pressure, we will see our people's need also. So India में product patent नहीं देते हैं. अगर प्रोडक्ट पे पेटेंट देने लगेंगे तो सारे यहाँ पे ड्रग्स को पेटेंट कर लेंगे, फिर हमारे कॉमन आदमी को मिलेगा ही नहीं. So this is what I was talking about, interdisciplinary. No, this is not this is interdisciplinary. You can see the overlap. Law, economics and management के overlap sequence पर IP based है. So you can take thoughts from economics, you can take thoughts from business, you can take thoughts from legal aspect and build your research proposal. Now this slide is for your interaction. When you compare all the different intellectual property, do you agree each property is governed by different laws? Yes or no? What do you say?
Yes.
Okay, so I can hear only one voice. Each property has different law. Now each property has different norms for registration and ownership. True or false?
True.
Yes. Each property has different longevity.
True.
Okay. How is it different from trademarks and geographical indications? Can somebody tell me?
Ma'am, can you repeat your question?
I'm saying how the longevity or the duration of protection is different from for geographical indication and trademark. Or take patents and trademark.
For
How long?
patents,
For how long is
we
it?
are going to have 20 years.
Yes, normally.
Yes, normally.
Majority of places, there are certain countries which also have it for 17 years, but majority 20 years. Even TRIP says 20 years.
But
Right,
I think, ma'am, it should be more than 20 years at least 20 years, right? In some presentation, somebody told that
trademarks
the
for 10
patent should
years,
be at
ma'am.
least for valid for 20 years.
It is not at least 20 years. It is 20 years.
Okay, right.
But you are right.
In India, it is
but
20 years.
in India, yes, बहुत सारे many places it is 20 years. But you are right. I think you said right now okay, it should be more than that. तुम ये कह रहे हो ना?
हाँ जी मैम, आपने बोला ना जैसे 17 years है कहीं पे.
हाँ नहीं, you are right. It should be more than 20 years. Think of the companies or the sectors like pharmaceutical. 11 years उनका average लग जाता है एक proper drug molecule को release करने में. 8 years में वो क्या recoup करेंगे 7 years में? So
Right,
you know,
ma'am.
US they have extended. They have given patent term extension. They have tweaked their laws. And 3 years का extension उन्होंने दे दिया है कि recoup your investment. India में it's not possible. Yes. What about trademarks?
10 years.
10 years.
There
Only
is
10
no
years.
limit. There is no
Lifetime.
limit for
Yes,
trademark.
renewal can be
Yeah, it's for
Renewal, yeah,
lifetime.
renewal
right.
can be
There
Exactly.
is no limit. There
So-
is no limit, I think so.
Exactly. So we use the word perpetual
Trademark
renewal.
as long as the company survives.
yes.
And if
That's what I'm saying.
that-
Perpetual renewal, it is said, as long as the company wants it to use it. Very good. So similar is the case with GI. What about copyright?
The lifetime plus
Lifetime.
after that 60
60
years.
years, I guess.
Yes.
It's for 60 years.
lifetime is there.
Very good. Life of the author and the 60 years. I will not go so much in detail. There are various other aspects. If it is anonymous or if there are joint authors, so different durations are there. Then what about industrial design? Did somebody mention
10 years, madam.
industrial design 10 years or 15 years? We'll have to check. I think it is 15 years.
Okay,
And that
okay.
also can be renewed. Okay. So my idea was just to tell you, so they are so similar, yet they are very different. So one difference we saw very clearly in the case of longevity, then each property is different in scope. Now, what does this mean? Each property is very different in scope. Now, if I ask you, give me 4 examples, because the test which you are going to face today, I will tell you once again, maintain your cool, because they're not only one word answer type. There might be 2 or 3 depending. You will look at the mark and you'll come to know how many answers are there. So you have to read very carefully. Okay, they are not difficult one, but they need a little attention. So in this case, अगर मैं आपसे पूछती हूँ कि each property is different in scope. So territorial nature की अगर मैं बात बोलती हूँ, to tell me which IP is not territorial in nature.
Trademark.
Patent.
Because in patent also, if you have applied in India, then you have to apply in US and other country if you want to protect. And
So
even
you have to apply in all
copyright.
the country, right?
नहीं,
No.
not trademark. Trademark में हाँ copyright. Trademark में तो जहाँ protect करोगे वहाँ आपको protection मिलेगा, है ना?
कॉपीराइट तो सब जगह पे राइट्स देता है ना, आप कहीं भी मतलब
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
बाउंड्री
saying.
से.
No, it's not territorial. It's not territorial. आपने
Right, ma'am. It's not territorial.
yeah.
Yeah, but ma'am, when Alka ma'am has discussed this, then she said कि if you are going for copyright, suppose if that copyright is available for India only, then if you are going for other country like for book publishing, she has took the example like if you are going to other country and if you have gone for within India, then you can publish same content in other nation also.
No. She was talking about publication, but I'm saying कि एक बार when you have written a book, suppose you have written a book. Suppose you have written a book, ठीक है? And copyright में registration is also not mandatory. It is your choice to keep yourself safe. So when it is taken for granted. So when you are not, the day you put it on a fixed medium, you develop your right, moral right and economic right whatsoever. तो उस right की कोई boundary नहीं है. आप अगर यहाँ पे उस book के author हो, you have the right. So it exists all over the world. अगर आप US में चले जाओगे और आपने उस registration नहीं लिया है, still you are the author. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to say. And I think you are confusing with the publication part she told. You're talking about the publication part. I'm just talking about the right, existence of the right.
Right.
Okay. So which, if I ask you which are territorial in nature, then you can say trademark, patent. Patent तो it's very clear cut, territorial. जहाँ आप करोगे वहाँ आपको मिलेगा. Very good. So then I think आप लोग काफी कुछ ज्ञान लेकर जा रहे हो. अच्छा लग रहा है सुनकर. Now each property has different cost for protection. Do you agree?
Yes.
How? बिकॉज जैन सर ने
application
एक जैन सर ने दिखाया होगा ना वो पीपीटी में एक रिन्यूअल फी और एप्लीकेशन फी
fees,
दिखा.
application fees. It is
Yes,
different
yes,
for all.
yes, very true. So you see, they are a comparison of different intellectual property. They are similar yet so very different. Now interdisciplinary कर ही लिया हम लोगों ने, and then importance of intellectual property. Everybody knows these are generic terms. Then moving on from the physical space to the intellectual property online. Now this is also a part of my course which I teach, managing intellectual property on digital media. अभी आपने कोर्स शुरू नहीं किया. जब मैंने कोर्स शुरू किया तो मुझे लग रहा था कि कुछ तो ऐसा होगा नहीं. But there are so many issues and they are so different managing IP in physical space and managing IP in digital space. And now this course has become very important ever since everything has gone online. So these are some of the threats to IP in digital media. First of all, the speed with which IP is infringed or knowledge is disseminated. You cannot have control over it. So there's a lot of issues, cybersecurity, then Digital Millennium Copyrights Act, then circumvention. How do you encrypt your work on it? Watermark वगैरह picture पे देखा है ना, how to protect your work on it. And then what are the punitive measures when you actually try to violate the encryptions. ये सारी चीजें इस कोर्स में आप कर सकते हो. And what are the multiple ways of protecting the IP in the case of website. Now, if we take the example of the website pay, there are, see how many copyrights are there. Can you see? Web content and web design can be protected by copyright. Logos and other by trademark. Graphic user pages by industrial design. Technical internet tools and software by patent and utility models. And other hidden aspects of the website can be protected by trade secret law. Why I'm trying to tell you this? One single website is having the possibility of all different types of IP. Can you see that? So these are all. Yes, somebody wants to say something? Can you please, either you, if you want to participate or say something, say it, or अगर आप पीछे में किसी से बात कर रहे हो तो kindly mute कर दीजिए. Okay. So as a part of the digital media management of IP in digital media, one of my students in the UG, he has done a case on Alibaba.com. A very good example, because if you ever get a chance, read his case study. What a wonderful IP management business model he has. It's the best way to tackle counterfeiting, a major issue in e-commerce. So these are some of the data. You know, he uses artificial intelligence for face recognition for people who visit his site for shopping. So after the use of technology and all IP protection measures, these are some of the data which was retrieved from his site, that there was 70% decline in the number of listings removed in response to consumer reports of suspected counterfeits, and 26% decline in the total rate of refunds due to suspect product on Taobao. For these, he had used IP and AI technology. And his law enforcement, the IP enforcement part, which you, if you remember, I don't remember the speaker. Whose mic is it? Please, can you mute it? Or else I will mute you. Yes, that is better. So I'm trying to say that somebody, I think Saha sir has spoken about enforcement. While he was talking about semiconductor, he said that it is very difficult. Some other speaker had also mentioned about enforcement. They said that enforcement is the weakest, you can say, Achilles heel in India. Our enforcement capabilities are not so good. But in this case, this business model is surviving or stealing the show because of its enforcement, and a lot of IP has to do with this. Now, in COVID times, what Alibaba firm has done for its e-commerce, it's an example of changing business model on digital media. Also a good area of research. The Alibaba Group has launched a global business-to-business sourcing platform aimed at speeding up medical supplies directly to areas in China where the novel coronavirus is hard hit. Now, it is called a global direct sourcing platform, and it will serve as an information bridge, matching medical supply sellers and their products to the needs of the hospital and local authorities affected. Items routed via the platform will be sent by Alibaba's logistic unit, Caniano Smart Logistic Network, to hospital based on level of urgency and priority. Okay, so his is just a platform, and as per the need of the hospital and local authorities, the goods are supplied or exchanged. So this is a example of changing business model on digital media. Then next is balancing technological innovation with social welfare. I'm now coming to a lot of discussion about patents and trademark. Now we are coming to geographical indication. So before I discuss on this, who remembers what is a geographical indication? And give me one example. What kind of IP is geographical indication?
Like Nagpur oranges,
For the place
then
value,
Kolhapuri chappal,
yeah.
Banarsi sari,
Okay,
Rajgiri.
these are examples. Very good. Give me the three characteristics.
Is
I'll
specific to a particular territory, location, like characteristics of a particular geographical location.
very good. Who's this?
Ranpreet Kaur.
Okay, Ranpreet. I can't see your name. Why? Anyway, oh,
No,
now I can see it. I can see it. Okay, very good. First, second thing, what do you say about ownership?
it is not owned by any person because it is like a geographical thing. So that is owned within that particular location. Maybe the group of people or the
Very
institutions
good.
like
Very good.
that is going to own.
Ranpreet, this is all from your FDP knowledge, or you earlier also you are familiar with
No,
all
no.
this?
Actually, this is from your FDP because I'm a core finance faculty.
Oh, that means you have been very alert and attentive. Very good. This is very important. Ownership. It always comes in collective terms. It's not an individual right. Anything else you would like to say about geographical indication? If not, I'm telling you how geographical indication is a very, very strong business and economic tool. So this is also a part of a project my students did based on a number of research paper. Okay, so actually this is the mention of the paper, one of the papers, the main paper which they have taken up. The name of the paper is Geographical Indications, Steroid and Socioeconomic and Ecological Sustainability. So what they actually did, this was a part of the course Intellectual Property and Sustainable Development. So what they did was they tried to study about a kind of wine. And for that wine, they tried to see what the people who were working for that wine, the employment, the region, and everything they studied, and they tried to map it against the sustainable development goals. कि वो geographical indication जो है, can it be used, made into a tool so that it gives employment to the local people? Then it is manufactured at such a scale that it can be exported as well. And what kind of needs, sustainable goals is it serving? Is it uh, contributing towards good health and well-being? Is it contributing toward employment? Is it contributing towards climate change, environmental conservation? So they decent work. You can see these encircled: decent work and economic growth. This was mapped through these research work. Then it reduced inequalities because this research work, through the paper they came to know that growing that particular kind of wine or working for that wine was capable of earning enough revenues to reduce the inequality. So they brought out a conclusion that geographical indication has the capability to solve certain sustainable development goals. Not only these, the other cases might serve other sustainable development goal. This is just one example. Okay, so I will not go in detail about this research project. I just told you that geographical indications, so many people are involved, so and the product ultimately which comes out, and the type, because very specific type of geographical locality and attributes are required for the growth of that particular product or the plant. So you're also doing what? Environmental conservation, environmental sustainability. So everything comes under geographical indication. So this is another tool for the business research and for the economic boost. Now coming to economics of intellectual property. How does intellectual property can be associated with the domain of economics? So you can see incentive to innovate, monopoly rights, technology transfer. Technology transfer में जैसे patent data ले लिया, ठीक है? And then 20 years का study कर लिया कि कौन कौन से patent data और कौन कौन या firms ले लिया, 10 firms ले लिया, 10 universities ले लिया. Universities are not so good as you came to know yesterday also. 10-20 firms ले लिया, 60 firms ले लिया, and try to study what type of technology transfer they are doing, what revenues they are generating, in what form they are getting remuneration. So all these data you can compile and do a research work. Another benefit of trademarks, the reduction of consumer search cost. Okay, because once you buy the brand loyalty or the customer loyalty towards a brand, you are in a way saving the consumer's search cost for a particular product or a service. Then the creation of an incentive for business to produce consistently high quality goods and services. This is good for marketing people. Trademark gels well with marketing, because once you have built your brand, then what you are incentivizing, incentive is a term from economics, so you're getting an incentive to consistently do well, to produce high quality goods and services. And then economic benefits of copyright kya hai? A parallel employment. ऐसे Alka ma'am ने भी तो बताया copyright में, when she was discussing, she mentioned when we were talking about how to stop it, she also explained her inability, and then she said we cannot stop it because it runs a parallel employment, and then many people are not even bothered about infringement. They think, okay, so long it is not hurting the owner directly, let them do it. ये तो I think I had discussed on the first day, which are the areas, core areas. Like a lot of people are from finance, I saw while doing the demographics analysis. So finance people, anybody from finance right now in the group? Anybody from finance?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ranpreet, you're from finance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ranpreet, IP securitization सुना है? और securitization term तो जानते होगे?
Yes, yes.
What is securitization?
Maybe like we refer that concept with reference to the debt. Suppose our company has gone with a huge debt, so to securitize that debt, they can come with another option as a collateral on that particular debt. So that is the concept. Same with we can do, I think, with the IP, like we can keep IP as a mortgage and collateral, and then raise money on behalf of that.
Exactly. So इसके केस में पता है
I remember, yeah, there is a case related with it. The Kingfisher, Vijay Mallya has kept the Kingfisher bird as collateral, and yes, I think withdrawn near about 300 crores, I think. Figure I'm much not aware, but he has kept that Kingfisher bird as the collateral and withdrawn substantial amount from as credit from financial institutions.
Yeah, you are very right. You're very right. You're talking about bonds, right? Yeah. So in IP securitization, copyright is very, very important. So there's a case on Bobby's bonds. So you can read it later on. Maybe I have just mentioned it here. So the nowadays IP securitization is also catching up very, very fast, because as I told you, since fixed assets ka value, it's decreasing, and this intangible assets is increasing. So obviously this will be more used as IP securitization, but you know, its awareness is very poor. There's no market for it. Awareness is poor. So this is an understudied area. So this can be tapped with by the finance people. I am doing a paper on this. I have this paper presentation in IIM Ahmedabad next year. It has been accepted. So I am doing sentiment analysis about this. You know, Twitter analysis using RStudio. Have you heard of it? Hello?
No, ma'am. Can you brief this?
No, I'm saying how many of you have heard of R as a software? It is a free software.
Yes, yes, we have heard our
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ,
Yes.
software for data
Yes,
analysis.
we have heard.
हाँ, कितने लोग यूज करते हैं? कितने लोग यूज करते नहीं करते हैं ना, कोई बात नहीं है, मैं बता रही हूँ. तो बट इट इज वेरी पॉपुलर एंड फ्री. पाइथन तो उससे ज्यादा लोग आर यूज कर रहे हैं बिकॉज इट इज फ्रीली अवेलेबल. ओके, सो नाउअडेज सोशल मीडिया एनालिटिक्स भी बहुत पॉपुलर हो रहा है. तो सोशल मीडिया एनालिटिक्स में लाइक ट्विटर एंड ऑल पे यू कैन डू द एनालिसिस ऑफ द टेक्स्ट. सो आईपी सिक्योरिटाइजेशन पर व्हाट आर द व्यूज एंड द ओपिनियन एंड द perception of different groups of people that can be captured through one technique nowadays. It's very famous. It's called sentiment analysis. So it can be done through R, it can be done through Tableau, it can be done through NVivo. Okay, so you can do that. I have done this paper and I'll be presenting it in IIM Ahmedabad, IP securitization. Now coming to theories. So when we talk about theories, like Arul sir has talked about theories, a lot of theories about which could be applied in case of IP and AI. I'm talking about theories because when you talk about research, never think of a research without a theory. We all are faculties and you are all are my colleagues, so I'm just sharing. I'm not telling you, I'm sharing you that never, let's not do a research without a theory. It will not be published well, because when we do only survey based research, then people say it's a marketing research. 200 300 को ले लिया उसका survey and then publish कर दिया. That's not research. Research means you should have a theory, you should have variable, either validate or bring about your own theory. So this was also a part at the UG research. Okay, so you know what students did? They took the theory of trademark and consumer behavior. There are many theories. We picked up 3 and 4. Like for example, attribution theory in trademark says trademark allows the symbol to attribute qualities to the brand. Second is brand self-image congruence. This everybody knows. अगर कोई particular brand, why we choose? We choose a particular brand because we associate our identity with that brand. So this theory tells you about that. Third is visual recognition theory. When you see some good picture, visuals, there's a famous saying that visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than text or any other form of communication. अगर मैं आपको visuals दिखा रही हूँ, उसकी imprint will be longer than just hearing what I'm saying. Do you all agree? And 65% of people are visual learner as per the SSRN research, Social Science Research Network, SSRN. So applying this theory, you can also study consumer behavior in the buying or purchasing of products or items. So this is intellectual property valuation. वो संदीप ने बता ही दिया था. Cost, market, income. Now I'll ask you 2 questions. Quick. Of these 3, which is the most easy and the best way of valuing? Which way?
Cost
Which one?
based.
Income. किसने cost बोला? एक मिनट किसने cost बोला please?
Raghunandan. My name is Raghunandan. Professor
Okay.
Because
Oh, Professor Raghunandan.
sometimes
अच्छा.
we miss some cost. So income is the best approach.
Yes, Professor Raghunandan, if you remember, Sandeep had told that अगर आपको
Yes.
कोई भी any method is not working out, then you go for the cost method. Others, do you remember? Why? Because it is not a very robust method. There are a lot of challenges in it. Okay, so
Right.
income is because income you have fixed formula and fixed way of finding it out, everything. So income is the most best suggested way of IP valuation. So this is what I was talking about, the story of Bowie bonds. जैसे आपने बताया ना, अभी किसी ने बताया Kingfisher bond के बारे में. Similarly, this gentleman had done, and you made a jackpot. So you can do IP securitization through patents and copyrights, and its importance is highlighted by us, David Hay, CEO of Brand Finance, saying it is time for CEOs, CFOs, and CMOs to start a long overdue reporting revolution. So all finance people, I hope to listen from you that sometime कभी आप मेरे को बताना कि आपने कुछ research किया इस पे.
Sure, ma'am.
And this is IP management. Another student has done the project, and so see, this is all they had studied about this cyber squatting, cyber security. These are all IP stuff, and then ultimately they did not bring out a paper. They designed a website. It is still in existence. They designed a website out of it. So what they actually, it was a real application of their course. IP राइट क्या बोलता है, दूसरे के मैटर को, दूसरे के मटेरियल को कम से कम यूज करो. So you won't believe me, they designed their own images, they did their own text, everything they did on their own. Minimum use of other resources. Because there's so many free applications available. They brought about podcast बनाया, podcast को फिर उस पे embed कर दिया website पे. And we did a rigorous work in progress for this. Regular in touch, we used to be there and I used to guide them, and they used to come up with good ideas and suggestions. Okay, so now I think I'm almost to finish, and I'm on the very right time. It's 3:52. So a couple of 1 or 2, 3 slides more. Intellectual property and emerging technologies. I don't need to repeat this. ये सारा कुछ हो चुका है, so मुझे इसमें नहीं करना है. It has been taken up. Now this is very important for you because we all are faculties. In higher education, हमारा role क्या है? Either we are an organizer, like I'm organizing this. Either I'm a leader, showing the ways to the children, communicator, gatekeeper, what not. We are very important in the society. So continuous personal and professional development is the key to your future, and all of us are doing that. Now, policy के perspective से अगर हम अपने को place करते हैं, where do we see ourselves? We are here. Capacity building हमें करना है, isn't it? This is the most important thing for us, and stimulate creativity in the youth. Now, from knowledge dissemination to engines of growth, ये जब आप एक यूनिवर्सिटी के एम्प्लॉई हो, कॉलेज के एम्प्लॉई हो, इंस्टीट्यूट के एम्प्लॉई हो, so what ways can you contribute? These are for that. ठीक है? How many of you are collaborating, by the way, with anybody outside your institute? Anybody collaborating, working on collaborative projects? Hello?
No, ma'am. Actually, we have different department to do that.
No. Department क्या? ये तो faculty का काम है collaborate करना.
No, yes.
It's not necessary. In industry collaboration is difficult. I understand. We are also facing issues. पर आप interdepartmental collaboration भी कर सकते हो. Friends के साथ भी कर सकते हो. That's what I mean to say. Then incubation and spin out, so they are related. If you have that center, then only you will have spin out and all. ये तो आप जरूर शुरू कर सकते हो, IP education and all. Then policy, IPR policy, IP cell. These are all administrative. Obligations. I mean, you cannot directly.
I have a doubt, ma'am.
Yes, please.
You told about this IP cell. We have ED cell, we have incubation center. So like that, you can have a separate intellectual property cell, but it should be registered properly, right, ma'am? Or any procedures for that?
No registration. We just started ours. There's no registration required. We have a different cell. The cell looks after all the IP creation to the evaluation, IP ideation, creation, capturing and all that phases. That's all. No registration is required. The in-house thing. It is an in-house thing. Good that you have so many type of cells.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And you were talking about this collaboration, interdepartmental collaboration. Like,
you
can you just give some interdepartment collaboration?
I'll tell you.
We have MOU signed with other institute. Our institution with other institution, we collaborate with each other and conduct a conference, seminars like that.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Who's this talking? Uma.
I'm Dr. Uma from Auxilium College, Vellore.
Oh, great. So that is even fantastic. Outside collaboration, though, it's great. But we were just talking in-house that if outside collaboration is not possible, you can collaborate interdepartmental. Like in our university, humanities collaborated with maths, history with maths, and they brought about a conference. They brought about a wonderful conference. I cannot tell you the detail. I'm saying this is creativity of we faculties, we colleagues.
Okay, this is a very different idea, ma'am. I belong to the Department of Business Administration, so we collaborate with the Department of Business Admin in another college. So interdepartmental, we have our own strength. Why to go to others? Very nice.
No, but this is breaking your shackle. Then only you can do out-of-box research.
Yes,
And then
yes.
a technology transfer and the revenue model. This is only this will come at a very later phase. Very important, but very late. It comes very late when everything is in place. So now, while somebody has mentioned in, please switch off. Please switch off the mic. Can you please switch off the mic? I've just.
It's from Krishna.
No, wait 1 minute.
Okay, I think it was Jagmeet by mistake. Okay, so somebody has written about case study pedagogy, and I have shared one or two cases to you. It was from the WIPO site. You can locate some more. So I said that you can cite some case studies in your course and then make the students write also. There are some in-house case studies, like we refer mostly to Harvard business case studies. So for that subscription is required. So you cannot do on an individual basis. So you can make your students. So these are some of the guidelines how to write a case study. Like you should have a protagonist. It should be a real life business. If you think something is very much in the news and it is in a state of dilemma, then as a management perspective, you're a finance person. What finance issues are there? What suggestions can you bring about? So cases in cases you can leave with questions, or you can write about cases which are already solved. Okay, so these are the ways our students, MBA students, have done this. I made them do the cases. They have done 7 to 8 case studies. So while guiding them, I'm sharing this with you, and what not to use in the case study when you write it. So the pain points, very important in intellectual property research. What are the pain points? Lack of adequate awareness. पहले तो पता ही नहीं है तो research क्या करें. Second is data. Like I had to beg for patent data or information about IP portfolio from the pharma companies. एक तो मैंने pharma लिया था, उसमें से patent पे काम किया था. Such sensitive and confidential information, they were not ready to come out. So these are the challenges of data, getting data in IP research. So now your journey starts from today to your theory you have come to know from so many people. Now it is up to you to apply. How can you apply? Setting up IP cell, designing course curriculum, formulation of IP policy, and capacity building. So at the end of the courses, your students, you can tell them that you, after doing this course, you develop the analytical skills to identify applicable types of IP, information gathering skills to collect necessary data, then joining data from economics and IP patent data with GDP, number of employments and all, and then you can do an analysis. That also my students have done. Then develop business ethics and integrity. And this also has a future. Management students think, why should we do IP? So I had to tell them this is the way you can get a job. But this is the last slide, sharp at 4. Just have a look at it and tell me what is the answer. Quickly. Can you tell me? This is just a brain teaser. Which is the IP first one?
iPhone.
No, first one.
Geographical indication, drinking wine. Wine is a geographical thing. Maybe novel is a copyright.
Yes.
iPhone can be patent. Or multiple
only
things.
Patent. Only patent.
Trademark.
Madhubani is geographical.
Madhubani is a geographical. Planning of the box recipe to menu served in her hotel.
And out of the box recipe?
That is again a copyright. Trade secret.
Yeah, somebody said trade secret. Very good. And last one, bar of Kit Kat.
Trademark. So many things are there. Trademark is there. Design is there.
Okay. Suppose I'm asking, no, not so many. I'm asking you, I have opened up the wrapper and given the bar to you. So the design, the engravings on it can come under design? No.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Design.
And the last one is kuch meetha ho jaye?
That is a tagline, trademark.
Yes,
Copy.
it's a tagline.
Trademark.
Okay. So finally, the FTP is successfully over. This was the last session, so I'm relieving you.